Hey.
Disabled people. Oh my god. Right, let's get comfy because I have a bone to pick. My name's Zara, I'm a disability advocate and content creator, and today the UK Minister put out a statement that disabled people must work from home to do their duty. Now, before I unpack this, there are so many things wrong with this statement. First of all, do their duty. That whole statement implies that disabled people, by being disabled, which is not their fault, is not their choice, it is a medical disability, that is implying that they are not contributing to society when they are physically unable to do the work that other people do. Doing our duty does not have to include being a very, very high-class worker or working a full-time job. You are just as valid as a person if you do not work. You may be able to do little jobs here and there, but if you're like me, I have Tourette's, I physically cannot do a job like be a waitress. I couldn't stand for very long because I have other disabilities that affect my walking and my standing and my energy levels. I physically am unable to withhold a job, which is why my job is content creation and disability advocacy, and luckily I live at home so I can get by like this. But there are so many people in this country who cannot do that. There are so many disabled people who do need help. They can't work a full-time job because taking care of themselves, looking after their health, going to medical appointments, and just getting through the day is a full-time job in itself. Disabled people do not have a duty to perform jobs they cannot do. Jobs that are not only unsuitable for them, but will literally harm their health. I literally just picked up my camera as soon as I saw this because I can't believe that this is going through. Jeremy Hunt says he wants to reform the work capability assessment, which basically means they want people who are now on benefits, they're claiming benefits because they can't work, they want those people to work, but work from home. Now, some of you who aren't disabled might be questioning, what's the problem with that? Why can't people work from home? The reason this is a problem, well, there are many reasons, but reason number one is people who are able to work from home is a very subjective statement. Who is deciding who is able to do that? Is that people just looking at somebody and saying, you look fine, you're not disabled, you can work, when in reality they don't know what is going on inside their bodies, they don't know what's going on inside their heads, they have no idea what that person is going through and how capable they actually are to perform that job. To say that a disabled person needs to perform their duty or have their benefits cut is basically manipulation. They're threatening to cut people's benefits and cut their life supply, their money that keeps them alive and keeps them going because they can't hold up a job. They're threatening to cut that if they don't work a job which they can't work. Someone tell me how this is adding up, because it's not. This sounds like something that is really going to affect disabled people who maybe aren't physically disabled. A neurological or an intellectual disability, maybe something like being chronically ill, those disabilities might look like the person is able, but they are not. Invisible disabilities are going to be affected the most by this, and there are going to be so many people who are going to be put in such difficult positions where they can't work, they can't live, they're going to get that support, those benefits, cut from them. Workplaces aren't accessible. In general, most workplaces are not accessible for people with disabilities or people with chronic illnesses. There is no way for workplaces to accommodate for every single different condition, every single disability, every single need a disabled person might have. That isn't possible. Whichever job people are able to get might not be suitable for that person. It might not be wheelchair accessible. I know if I had to use my wheelchair every day, luckily I don't, some symptoms are okay, but people who have to use a wheelchair every single day, people that maybe have a spinal cord injury, most places are very difficult to navigate in a wheelchair even if it's labelled as accessible. Now, working in an environment that maybe isn't wheelchair accessible fully is basically impossible. You can't do the best job. You're probably not going to be hired for the job if you can't even get into the workplace. And then there's also the issue of the actual work itself. Maybe it's not accessible for neurodivergent people, like they can't keep up with it, the schedules aren't made in a way that suits them, and they just can't do the work. What are those people supposed to do? Now, if you're not disabled, or maybe you just have the question, why can't we just try to work? Why can't we just do a call centre job from home, or work from home, have an office at home? And my answer to that is, A lot of the time, disabled people, like me, want to work. We want to get a job. Like, I would love to just be able to walk into any workplace and ask for a job application and apply and do the job. But because I'm disabled, not by choice, that is just how my body works, that's how my brain developed, I can't do that. But that is not an option, that is not our fault, it's just being disabled. There are so many times when we really want to do a job, and some people may go for the job, they may get the job and try, but the employers maybe don't support them enough, the workplace isn't as accessible as it claimed to be, and they end up losing the job. And then disabled people are just made to feel like we're the problem, we're the burden, and that other people shouldn't have to accommodate for us, when in reality, people should accommodate so that disabled people can do things. The world needs to become more accessible. Otherwise, what are we supposed to do? Going full circle back to the reason that this duty statement is a very damaging narrative is because it is portraying the view that a lot of disabled people are claiming benefits and they're claiming the money when actually they are able to work. It's claiming that so many people are on the system that shouldn't be, and that disabled people are just being lazy and taking the easy option out, when this is not the case. This is such a damaging narrative, but it's a narrative that so many people are going to believe because of these statements and these cuts. People are going to see that headline and they're going to think, oh, there are so many disabled people who should be working. Yes, they shouldn't be claiming our benefits. People are going to fall for that narrative. That's really easy to think when you're only presented with that information. You're not presented with the millions of disabled people just in the UK who really can't work and they're suffering every single day with debilitating symptoms, and now they're being told that their money's going to go or they have to work from home. And that struggle, that stress, on top of all the things they're already dealing with their health, their disability, it's just going to make it worse. Stress often impacts disability, especially if it's something like a chronic illness or Tourette's or something like that is impacted by emotions and stress. It's going to make their symptoms worse and they're going to be even less able to work. Now, there may be some very, very rare individuals who do claim benefits when they maybe shouldn't be, but this is not what is happening to most disabled people. The claims that are fraudulent, like the fake claims, that percentage is so low that it doesn't even account for all the disabled people that are going to be impacted and hurt and really, really lost by this. Nobody should be forced to work if they can't, if they don't want to, if they know their own body and they think that it will make their health worse, if it's not accessible for them. They shouldn't be forced to work just out of guilt tripping that they're not doing their duty as a person. It annoys me so much because the guilt of being disabled, even though you really should not feel guilty for being disabled, but we all feel it, you feel a bit inadequate. You feel guilty for not being able to function as well as other people, even though the guilt is not supposed to be there. We're not supposed to feel guilty for something we can't control. But this guilt tripping, saying that we shouldn't be claiming money and we're just being lazy, it's going to impact so many people so drastically. It's just unfair. This is what the world has come to. And we shouldn't have our income cut just for being medically, physically, mentally unable to work. Instead of focusing on catching out the fraudsters that are so little of the population, and in the meantime cutting the support of so many disabled people who literally their lifeline are these benefits that are helping them stay afloat and pay their bills while they're struggling with all the medical things that are going on. Instead of focusing on that, we should be focusing on what we can do to make things more accessible, how we can make workplaces more accessible, so maybe people could work if they decided that they were able to. If their health maybe improved, then they actually could go into a workplace. But right now, that just isn't an option. We should make it more accessible for everybody so that everybody is on a bit more of an even plane, because right now, disabled people do not have the same opportunities that able-bodied people do. That is just a fact. So we shouldn't be blaming and isolating and cutting off the support of disabled people and telling them that they just need to do the same thing that able-bodied people are doing, because that is physically not fair. At first, this whole statement and article might not seem like that much of a problem, but I hope this is giving you a little bit of an insight into why the specific wording and why this is actually such a detrimental thing to so many hundreds of thousands of people in the UK that are living with disabilities. We shouldn't be forced to do jobs that we can work from home in, because they may not be the jobs that we're talented at, they may not be the jobs that we can do. Maybe we spent our entire education training to be a doctor, but we now can't be a doctor because we're disabled or we developed a chronic illness. We can't just suddenly swap to doing a very taxing job at home that we weren't trained up for, because then we don't have the time or the energy to actually look after ourselves, take care of our house. We can't do the day-to-day things because we only have a limited amount of energy and capabilities to do the things in life. We literally can't do anything else. This plays into the spoon theory. If you've never heard of it, feel free to Google it. I'll put a link in the description. Say we're given 10 spoons in the day, 10 spoons of energy. Just living takes up 8 spoons for us, whereas everyone else it may take up 1 or 2. That means that we don't have enough spoons left to do a full-time job. Everybody else, maybe 2 spoons is living, 5 spoons is work, and they still have 3 left. If it takes us 8 spoons to just get up, live, do our medical treatments just to keep ourselves alive, if that takes up 8 spoons, we're left with 2 spoons. And if working is 5 spoons, you can do the math, it does not work. But yes, I just wanted to share my thoughts on this statement and kind of educate on how it can be really, really damaging, because it was really disheartening to hear it, because I personally know people who are literally kept alive by their benefits. They physically can't work, they can't take care of themselves, so their benefits are their lifeline. And without that, they would be in accessible jobs that are basically killing them by doing it. They won't be able to do anything else, they won't be able to take care of themselves, and their quality of life will be next to nothing. And so the possibility of having their benefits cut and all their support taken away from them is just heartbreaking. But yeah, there's a little bit of information, an update, just if you haven't seen or maybe you're not from the UK. This is something that's going on at the minute that I wanted to talk about, because I do feel very passionately about disability advocacy, and it's really disappointing that the government isn't supporting people and that accessibility is still an optional thing for people to put in place, when really it should just be a given. But yeah, I usually don't talk about political things. I'm not a very political person. I don't really like following the news and stuff, but this I've just seen all over my social media. It's everywhere. People are talking about it, and I had a lot of feelings, so enjoy. Maybe you've learnt something. I hope it was interesting. I hope you liked listening and theorising. But yeah, there's mine and a lot of other disabled people's opinions or perspective on the situation. I hope it was interesting, and I will see you on Sunday for another video. That was heavy. I'm also doing a lot of videos about my hobbies and stuff. Obviously this is about health, but I'm going to be doing a lot more videos about me and my life, so it won't all be as heavy and factual as this. But I do hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you next week for another video. Okay. Don't lick me. I hope you have my dog. I hope you have a lovely, lovely day, and I will see you next week. Have a lovely day. Bye.